Okay, so good morning everyone. In the last lectures, hello, is my screen visible?
Yes,
Okay, so in the last two lectures, we have solved and studied about various scheduling algorithms like FCFS, SJF, SRTF, priority, and round robin scheduling algorithms. Okay. Now, you see, whatever the discussion we have made in the previous algorithms, we have assumed that there is a single processor because all the algorithms we studied were of uniprocessor. That means we are assuming that we have only single processor and there is only one ready queue. Okay, in all the processes are in loaded in this ready queue, and this single processor is executing the processes which are loaded into this ready queue, whatever may be the order of processes basing on the algorithm. Apply the algorithm and which process is to be given to processor next, that decision was taken. Okay, but in real time the scenario is not like this. That means we don't maintain a single queue like this, because if we are going for maintaining only single queue, you can see, if we are going for priority algorithms, then high priority processes will be keeping on getting the priority and low priority processes will be going into the waiting state for long amount of time. Okay, so that is why in the real time scenario, the queues are maintained as multi-level queues. Okay, that means you are maintaining not a single queue, but you are maintaining many queues at many levels. Okay, and then you are putting the processes in these queues basing on some criteria, and then you are applying your scheduling algorithms. Okay, so here we are maintaining collection of queues rather than one single ready queue. Okay, so all the processes may be either categorized into any one of these queues basing on certain criteria. Now each queue will be having its own scheduling algorithm. Let's say I can say that first queue will be having round robin algorithm, last queue will be having FCFS. Any algorithm can be there that can be decided with proper mix and match of algorithms. Okay, so basically here for example it is given, if you see your whatever processes are there in your ready queue, the n number of processes, you are classifying these processes into foreground processes, background processes, operating system processes, or priority. Basing on those things, you are classifying all these n processes and loading these processes into respective queues, and each queue will be having its own scheduling algorithm. Okay, again for example, you can consider foreground processes to follow round robin, background to processes process follow the FCFS. Again, these are examples only. Okay, now first you have to decide which process is to be executed from which queue. Okay, like if you are saying that all the foreground processes should have high priority, then the queue which contains all the foreground processes will be executed first. Okay, then if you you can go with the migration of processes between queues also, that is also possible. So all those things we will be discussing. Okay, so the basic concept is, rather than maintaining one single queue or ready queue, we are categorizing the processes which are in the ready queue into various categories basing on the type of the process. Okay, now this point we will discuss after the next slide. So this is how it can look like. Okay, so all the ready queue processes and processes which are in your ready queue, they are divided into so many queues. Okay, so this is representational example, like you can have certain system processes, certain interactive processes. If someone, your mic is on, please mute your mic. Interactive editing processes, batch processes, student processes. Okay, now among these queues also you can give highest priority and lowest priority. Okay, so whichever process is having high priority, you can move them into the system process queue. Okay, then priority less than that one, you can move into interactive. After that, interactive editing. All these are various classes of processes, nothing special in that one. Okay, सो इस तरीके से कर सकते हो. अगेन यू कैन अप्लाई इंडिविजुअल शेड्यूलिंग एल्गोरिदम, लाइक हियर यू कैन गो फॉर राउंड रॉबिन, or you can go for FCFS, or you can go for priority. Any algorithm you can use it here. Okay. You can also use like round robin with variable time quantums. यहाँ पे time quantum 2 seconds लिया, यहाँ पे 3 milliseconds, यहाँ पे 4 milliseconds. It depends. You can take that way also. Okay, so this way actually happens in your system. Now this is also not the perfect way for scheduling, because you have certain problems. Now what happens, let's say you have n processes in your 10 processes in your system. Out of these 10 processes, let's say 6 processes are having highest priority, so you will be loading P1 to P6 here. Okay, and remaining 4 processes, let's say you are loading P7 here, P8 here, and P9 and P10 you are loading it here. Okay. Now, as per the operating system criteria, system processes are given highest priority. So you will be executing P1 to P6. Okay. Now let's say while executing P7 process, you have another process P11 and P12 coming into your ready queue. Okay, and they are also high priority processes, so they have to be executed first. That is P11 and P12 are executed first. Okay, now while these processes are executing, let's say you again have P13 and P14 in your ready queue, and these are also having high priority than P9 and P10. So again these processes have to be executed first. Okay. So in this way, if higher priority processes keep on coming into the multi-level queue, then the lower priority process will never get a opportunity to execute with the processor. Okay, so these two processes will be killed or will die of starvation. Starvation is lack of resources. Here lack of resources means lack of processor. You are giving the processor only to high priority processes, so the low priority processes are continuously in the waiting state, and they will be going into starvation. Okay, so that is what is written here. Scheduling must be done between queues also. Okay, it is not important that you only schedule processes which are inside the queue. You should also have some mechanism to move within the queues. Okay, in between the queues also. Okay. Now first, fixed priority scheduling, that is serve all from foreground then from background. Okay, though if we are going for fixed priority, that means you are giving the high importance to only high priority, and you are fixing the priority. Now here we have two concepts of fixed priority and variable priority. Okay, fixed priority means the priority of a process is decided either by the operating system or the user before its execution. Okay, and it is not changing during the execution time. Okay, the priority, if you say if a process is having 100 priority, then it will not change during its execution time, it will remain as 100. Okay, in variable priority you can change the priority of a processor. Either the user or the operating system can change the priority of processor. Let's say starting mein 100 tha, but as time processes you realize that this particular process needs to be executed quickly, so you can change its priority, let's say to 50. Okay, and still if time progresses, if you feel that this priority is still more, you can again reduce its priority to 20 or 10, whatever number may be. Okay, so this is variable priority concept. Some operating systems allow this concept, some operating systems do not allow. So if you are going only for the fixed priority concept, what happens, you are keeping on serving high priority processes, and in the meanwhile you cannot even change the priority. So any process which is having low priority, it will always go into the starvation. Okay, then next is time slice, that is round robin part. So each queue gets a certain amount of CPU time which can schedule amongst its processes. Okay, so another method is you give a certain time to each queue, like you give 5 seconds to this, 5 seconds to this, 5 seconds to this, like this you can give. Okay, so that is one method by which you can avoid this starvation. And also like this is the some ideal combination we can say 80% foreground processes and 20% background processes इस तरीके से आप कर सकते हो. Okay, so that to avoid the starvation. Okay, another concept in multi-level queue scheduling is multi-level feedback queue scheduling. Okay, so next structure that we are going to maintain in the queue scheduling is you are giving the feedback of one queue as a input to another queue. Okay, so first queue इसमें n processes है and if you want to change its priority, change it to another queue of high priority, change this to another queue of high priority, ऐसे आप कर सकते हो. This is another concept in scheduling, that is a process can move between various queues. Okay, aging can be implemented this way. So the problem that we have seen in the previous slide, that the low priority processes are kept indefinitely waiting, so that concept we call it as aging. Okay, so as the processor ages, you need to upgrade its priority or make sure that it is executed quickly by the processor. So for that, what you can do, you can give a feedback to from one queue to another queue. That means processes are allowed to migrate between the queues. Okay, now how, on what basis they are migrating, what is the algorithm, how many queues it can migrate, and do each queue has separate scheduling algorithms. Now the way we are upgrading it to next level, can we also demote it to another queue? Like if a process is taking too long to execute, then can we move it to a high priority, like so low priority queue that we are not required to be executed currently? So these are all various questions that can be addressed when you are designing this kind of scheduling algorithm. Okay, so how many queues you have, multi-level feedback scheduler needs to define these many parameters, like how many queues you need to maintain, then what is the scheduling algorithm in each queue, then on what criteria you are deciding that it should go from one queue to another queue, either from low priority to high priority or high to low. So you are promoting a process, or when you are upgrading to a high priority queue or demoting a process, कब करना है आपको, then after entering the queue also, which algorithm you are applying in this queue, that is also important. So this is again a theory concept where they are using the concept of feedback. So here one example is given. Again, this example is taken from Galvin only. You can refer to that example. So here what they have done is they have taken multi-level feedback queue with 3 queues. So the number of queues they have taken is 3. And in the each queue, in the first queue, they have taken the time quantum as 8. That means they are applying round robin algorithm. Okay, next queue they have taken the time quantum as 16, and last queue they have taken the algorithm as FCFS. So दो में round robin algorithm लिया है and last queue में FCFS लिया है. So let's say this is Q0, this is Q1, and this is Q2. Okay, so when a job enters Q0 which is served FCFS. Okay, so first यहाँ पे job आता है, ठीक है. Now when it gains the CPU, whenever the first job has come here, let's say process has come here, when it gains the CPU, that means when it is ready, from ready state to it has moved to running state. Okay, it will be executing for 8 seconds. Okay, if it completes its burst time within 8 seconds, then it is okay, the process will be going to the exit state. But if it doesn't complete within 8 seconds, it will be redirected into this queue. Okay, that is Q1. Now again it will get a chance, that means here also a ready queue will be maintained, and in this whenever its turn comes, P1 process's turn comes, then it will be again executed for 16 seconds. Okay, so again if it completes its execution, then fine. If it doesn't complete its execution, again we are going to shift it to the next queue which follows FCFS scheduling. So again here also a queue is maintained. Now whenever the chance of this process comes, P1 process comes, whenever its turn comes, it is executed in the FCFS scheduling algorithm up until its completion. Okay, is it clear? So this is one example how multi-level feedback queue can be implemented. Any questions up to here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Next concept in scheduling, actually this is normally we study uniprocessor scheduling. Whatever algorithms we have studied, we have assumed that we have only single processor and single ready queue we have, and then we have executed those algorithms. Okay, even we have not considered the number of cores. You know, nowadays the processors have quad core, then octa core and all those things, but we have not considered even that also. What we have considered, we have considered there is only one processor and you have only one ready queue, and basing on these ready queue you are giving the processor processes to the processor. But do you think this is a real time scenario? ऐसा ही होता है अभी? Do you think it happens like this? Yes. By seeing the heading you can say it doesn't happen like this. Okay, so instead of having only one processor, now you can have multiple processors. Okay, so this is a little content beyond your syllabus, but this concept is asked in your competitive exams and all. So I have taken one slide for this one, like one 10 minutes का session इस पे कर लेते हैं, ठीक है? So multiple processor scheduling means you have more than one CPU processor. You have more than one CPU. So first you have CPU 0, CPU 1, CPU 2 and CPU 3. For example, I have taken here 4 processors. Okay. Now in these you have processes. Say many processes you have. Now, which process is to be given to which particular processor to execute? That concept is called as multiple processor scheduling. Okay, in uniprocessor scheduling, we were having only single processor, but in multiple processor scheduling, we are having multiple number of processors, and now you have to design the scheduling algorithms such that these processors are effectively executed by these processors. Okay. Now, there are many strategies for this one or many concepts for this one. First concept is single scheduler. First concept is single scheduler. Now, what is this single scheduler? That means you have one dedicated processor which acts as a scheduler, and which schedules which process to be executed by which particular processor, and that decision is taken by a one dedicated processor that we can call it as a scheduler. Okay, so this is one technique by which you can do the multi-processor scheduling. Very simple. आपके पास 4 processors है, 4 में से एक processor as a scheduler करेगा, वो सिर्फ scheduling का ही काम करेगा. Now scheduling का काम मतलब P1, P2, P3 फिर P4 में से कौन सा प्रोसेस कौन से CPU को भेजना है, नेक्स्ट रेडी क्यू में कौन सा एल्गोरिदम एग्जीक्यूट करना है, ऑल दोज थिंग्स विल बी टेकन केयर बाय ओनली this processor, and the job of other processor is just to execute whatever process is given to them. Okay, like P1 if you are giving it to CPU 3, then CPU 3 just have to execute. It doesn't have to worry what is my next process, am I left with certain execution. It doesn't have to worry about all those things. Okay, so it's quite simple, and in certain blogs or certain textbooks you can also find this as a master slave model. You can say that this is the master which is giving the command to all these slaves that you have to execute this particular process. So it is given in that terms also. That is kind of single scheduler. Okay. Yes, but it has its own problems, like all the processors have to be dependent on this one particular scheduler only. So those problems will be arising. Now, second type of scheduling that we call it as symmetric scheduling. Okay, now in the symmetric scheduling, rather than maintaining one single CPU as a scheduler, all the CPUs like CPU 0, 1, 2 and 3, all the CPUs, they maintain its own ready queues. Okay, they maintain its own ready queues. सॉरी, इसमें दो वेरिएशंस है. एक कंसेप्ट है ग्लोबल क्यू का एंड पर प्रोसेसर क्यू का. Now first let's discuss global queue, then we will come back to per processor queue. So in symmetric there is no such concept of like a CPU acting as a single scheduler. वो asymmetric में था या master slave में था. So here you are maintaining a global queue is maintained. A global queue is maintained. Okay, and from this global queue, like the processes are stored in this global queue. From this global queue, the processors will be taking its process, executing and then finishing it to termination. Similarly, another processor will be coming, taking the process from the CPU, executing, and its termination will be done. Okay, so this way we are maintaining only one global queue and all the processors are sharing this global queue. Okay, are sharing this global queue. Now its advantage is there, like your utilization will be good, like no CPU will be idle at any moment. Whenever there is a process in the ready queue, your processor will be taking that process and keeping on executing the processes. So you will be having good CPU utilization, and all processors will be getting a equal opportunity to take the processes from the queue, and all those advantages will be there. But you know there are disadvantage also when we maintain only one global queue. Okay, so what is the problem here? We have to implement one concept of locking. Okay, say for example P1 has entered into the ready queue, and at the same moment CPU is also trying to read this data, CPU 2 is also trying to read the P1 process or take the P1 process. Okay, so at a time both the processes are trying to execute P1 process. So it may lead to deadlock and all those conditions that you will be studying in further chapters. Okay, so here if you want to prevent two processors accessing the same process, then in that case what you have to do, you have to maintain a lock. Okay, you have to lock this queue, that when CPU 3 is taking the data, other processes cannot take the data. So once it has taken the process, then it will release the lock release karega, then CPU 2 will be going and taking another process. So while it is taking the process, the processor will be locked, I mean the queue is locked. Okay, once it takes the required process, then the queue has to be unlocked. So ऐसा आपको locking mechanism and all those things need to be implemented when you are going for the global queue scenario. Okay, and if when you are going to write locking algorithms, it is not easy, they are not scalable, because here we are having only showing in example we have only 4 processors. Let's suppose you have written the algorithm of locking for the 4 processors, then you want to extend it to 8 processors or 12 processors. Okay, so in that case your algorithm needs to be changed. Okay, so it is not that easy, it is not scalable. Okay, then another concept you have, that is affinity, process affinity. Okay, process affinity is certain processes, certain user processes may want to require to be executed on a certain CPU only. Like I want P1 process to be executed on CPU 1 only, but that cannot be achieved when you are maintaining global queue. Okay, so this kind of problems will be occurring. That is why we are going to maintain per processor queue. Okay, so per processor queue, that the name itself suggests that you have processors. What we'll take the same example, CPU 1, 2, 3 and 4 processors you have. Now rather than maintaining one common queue, you are going to maintain separate ready queues for each processor. Okay, each is maintaining a separate queue. Now you are doing the static partitioning. You are doing the static partitioning of all the processes, that certain processes will be executed by CPU 0 only. That means all the processes whose affinity is with CPU 0, they will be loaded in the ready queue of CPU 0, and similarly with all other queues as well. Okay, and here the processors need not worry about what is happening with the other CPU, and CPUs do not worry about whether they are completing all the tasks which are in the system, because they are allotted the task, they have to execute only those set of tasks. They need not worry about other tasks as well. Okay, so here the advantage will be, it will be easy, comparatively easy to implement, because there is no need of a locking, as every processor is having its own ready queue. So there is no need of locking, processor affinity and everything will be achieved as well. But again, here the one problem arises, that is of load imbalancing. Okay, so if I have 10 processes which wants to be executed on CPU 1 only, then CPU 1 will be overloaded. Or if you get a high burst time job on one single processor, so it will be busy keeping on executing that job for high burst time, whereas other processes in the queue, in its ready queue, will be in waiting state. Though we have CPU 1, 2 and 3 are free, they don't have anything to execute, but once they are allocated in a certain processor, and if you have a certain job which is of high burst time, then other processes will be keeping on in the waiting state in spite of available free resources. So this kind of load imbalance can occur. Okay, again, these are all concepts which were improved as and when operating systems has evolved. So if you go with this global queue concept, this was implemented in XV6 operating system. Okay, now another method in the symmetric part only is, rather than maintaining like two separate, like global and per processor queue, you are using one hybrid approach. The third approach you are using is the hybrid approach. So as the name itself suggests, here we are combining the global approach and per processor queue approach and maintaining the hybrid approach. So that means you need to maintain a global queue as per your global approach. So global queue भी maintain की जाती है. Then you also maintain local queues. You maintain global queues as well as local queues. Okay, so you have your processors here, CPU 0, CPU 1, CPU 2 and CPU 3. Okay, so our global queue is maintained as well as per processor queues are maintained. Okay, so here it will be quite easy that processor, when it wants to execute, they can take the data from the global queue and put it in their own ready queue and then start executing. Okay, now how you are moving the data from global queues to ready queues? So there again you have the concept of load balancing. Okay, how the load is balanced or how the data is moved from ready queue to local queues. Okay, so here you have various algorithms again for scheduling the data from global queue to per processor queue. Okay, then affinity is also achieved. Affinity is possible because if a particular process is quite clear that it wants to execute with certain processor only, so affinity will be also achieved. Okay, now there are another two concepts here for load balancing, that we call it as push migration and pull migration. Okay, so push and pull migration. So what is this push migration? Again, you have a particular program, you can say a special program, which monitors all these queues periodically. Okay, it monitors all these queues periodically and it checks the load on each of the processor. Okay, so if a particular processor is overloaded, then it will be pushing the jobs from that particular processor to another particular processor. Okay, so that is push migration. That means if a particular it is a kind of special kind of program that periodically monitors which queue is highly overloaded. A queue, nahi, sorry, which processor is highly overloaded. So once it identifies that a certain processor is heavily overloaded, then it pushes its task from the ready queue of CPU 1 and it pushes it to CPU 2 or 3, whichever is idle. So that is called as push migration. Now another concept is pull migration. So here pull migration is, this is executed by the processors itself. Okay, so what processors will be doing, if let's say CPU 3 is idle completely and CPU 2 is having 5 waiting processes. Okay, so CPU 3 itself pulls the waiting processes to its processor and then executes the processor, so that the idleness, I mean the CPU utilization is also done, idleness ratio is reduced, as well as the jobs are executed without going into the blocking state. So this is also is another concept of push and pull migration. Okay, ठीक है. Now next concept of push and pull migration. Here you see the processes are moving between the queues. The processes are moving in between the queues. Okay, so when they are moving in between the queues, again you have this migration happening. Okay, now when we talk about migration, you I guess you remembered the concept of context switching. Okay, so in context switching you had only one processor. Okay, and this processor, it was executing certain task P1 and it stops executing P1, it stops executing P1 and starts executing P2. Okay, so the context is changed. That means when you are changing the context, you need to save the contents of P1 and reload the contents of P2. Okay, save and reload, the two concepts we have discussed. Now content of P1 is stored in your PCB1, content of P2 is stored in your PCB2. Okay, so you need to maintain so many process control blocks of all the processes. We are talking when we had only one processor. यहाँ पे तो दूसरे processor के बीच में context switching हो रहा है. That means you need to change the processor also, as well as you need to change your PCB switching also needs to be done. Okay, so when going for migration, either push migration or pull migration, you should be very careful that process migration is a expensive task. So we need to carefully design this migration algorithm such that it will not be going expensive at the not at least at the expense of process execution task. Okay, cost. Is it clear, this concept of multiprocessor scheduling? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So with this we complete our scheduling concept. Okay, so we have seen various queue scheduling, multi-level queue schedulings, various what do you call, methods you have in the scheduling algorithms. Now this concept is quite relatively new in your syllabus. ओके, सो दिस, इसके लिए आपको इधर आप गैल्विन फॉलो कर सकते हो, और आई लीव यू दी लिंक्स इन दी reference section of this PPT. There is one good video by the professor from IIT, the one which you are already doing the course, operating system का जो course आप कर रहे हो अभी, उनका ही पुराना OS का course था. The one you are studying is the new one, but the old one contained all these things in quite detail. Okay, so you can refer to that one, and it is a kind of research area also. So if anyone is interested, they can proceed in this direction also. Okay. So with this we come to end of our scheduling algorithms. Now please note that whatever algorithms we have discussed, your questions will be asked लाइक आपको प्रोसेसेस दे देंगे एंड आपको कैलकुलेशंस करने के लिए बोलेंगे, टर्न अराउंड टाइम, वेटिंग टाइम, रिस्पॉन्स टाइम, ये सारी चीज़ें कैलकुलेट करने के लिए बोलेंगे। ओके, देन वन सेट, इसमें ग्रैंड चार्ट ड्रॉ करना कंपलसरी होगा आपको, सो रिमेंबर हाउ यू आर ड्रॉइंग दी ग्रैंड चार्ट ऑल्सो। नेक्स्ट टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट कैन बी आस्क्ड इन दी शेड्यूलिंग इज questions will be on, like let's suppose certain processes will be given to you, their burst time will be given to you 8, let some example I am taking randomly, their burst time will be given to you with all the required parameters, arrival time and everything. You have to run the same set of processes for all the 3 algorithms or all the 4 algorithms given in the question. लाइक आपको FCFS भी करना है इसी डेटा सेट पे, then you need to run your round robin, then you need to run your priority, whatever is given, everything you need to run, and then you need to tabulate the results. मतलब हर एल्गोरिदम एग्जीक्यूट करने के बाद उसका एवरेज क्या आता है, वेटिंग टाइम, एवरेज टर्न अराउंड टाइम, वो सारी चीजें आपको टेबल फॉर्म में टेबुलेट करके आपके ऑब्जर्वेशंस देने होंगे. Okay, so it can, question can be like, consider the following data set and all the parameters are given, the algorithms are given. Now which algorithm do you think is best for this set of processes? So in how you can find out, by tabulating all the results of waiting time, average turnaround time, average response time. So then you have to write your observations, like if response time is the criteria, then whichever is having the least response time, that you can say that it works best for this set of processes. If turnaround time is given as criteria, then you can say that whichever is having less turnaround time, that will be best. Okay, so इस तरीके से आप कर सकते हो. ठीक है, पता चला किस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं इसमें. देन वो राउंड रॉबिन एल्गोरिदम में कंटेक्स्ट स्विचिंग पूछते हैं, नंबर ऑफ कंटेक्स्ट स्विचेस, दिस इज वन गुड क्वेश्चन that is frequently asked. Then another question that is asked is, you need to calculate the ratio of CPU idleness or CPU utilization. आइडलनेस तभी आता है जब आपके गैंट चार्ट में कोई भी आइडल साइकिल्स आ गई हो, ऐसा सम आइडल साइकिल्स इफ यू आर देयर, देन दैट यू कैन कैलकुलेट द आइडलनेस एंड occupied ones divided by total, you will get the utilization. Okay, so this is the summary of scheduling, whatever we have discussed. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any questions in this area of scheduling?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so next concept. एक minute, just give me a minute. Okay, any questions, any doubts?